What's poppin' YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. This is the new series where I'll be answering all of your burning Cleveland Browns questions from Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Shout out TikTok. Hopefully TikTok don't get banned, but this is where we answer all your questions. So make sure you guys are liked, follow, and subscribed because we'll be doing these videos on a weekly and daily basis. So let's not waste no time and let's get right into these questions. Let's start out with this one right here. Should we hire a new GM from my man Logan? And the answer is no. What I would personally do with the GM spot, we got to remember that this is a business at the end of the day. And Jimmy Haslam has invested a lot of money into this team. And honestly, there's no better person to manage the money right now, I think, than Andrew Berry. If there's one thing that he excels at, it's definitely finagling and moving around money and making money appear out of thin air. And I don't think Jimmy Haslam has any plans to get rid of that, especially when you got Brook Park on the horizon. So now the question comes, should they do like what the Lions did and bring in a guy like John Dorsey, aka a football guy, to help make the football decisions and let Andrew Berry operate and do the business financial status of it? They can obviously collaborate together, but have someone specifically for football evaluation, helping in the draft process, picking the right players, bringing in the right football minds. But in terms of hiring a new GM, I just don't think that that's on the horizon at all. Next question that we got: why do players, from my man Totally 80s, why do players go elsewhere and find success? See Zane Gallis kicking the game winner last night, countless others that have left only to find success, just not here. Now, I don't know if you saw the kick and how nervous that boy was, but he was about 6 inches away from not making that kick. But it does suck to see so many players, leave the organization and go on to win Super Bowls. We've seen it with countless players: TJ Ward, Sheldon Richards, Danny Shelton, Barkevious Mingo. Like, a lot of players have won rings when they have left this organization. And honestly, I don't know why that is. I just think that the Browns have been a bad organization. They have ran it wrong. They pull the trigger too quick. They don't hire the right people. They don't let the right processes pan out. And I think that's where Jimmy Haslam is at right now, where he's trying to go against the history. And like he said, he doesn't want to get emotionally involved, which is why we are continuing to see the regime that we are seeing right now in Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, because they are letting this process play out. And like you said, let's just say we did can Kevin Stefanski and he goes on to find another job. Chances are he'd probably have success, right? Seeing as though the history says so. So I think it's more so just about trusting the process and trusting the guys that you bring in. And that's something that this organization hasn't quite really done, or they haven't, coached up the talent that they have. Now, did Danny Shelton turn into an all-pro? No. Did Barkevious Mingo turn into an all-pro? No. They went into a great organization and they won. That doesn't mean that they go on to have this like tremendous amount of success. Zane Gonzalez has been bounced around the league. It's not like he just found a home there and all of a sudden he's kicking game winner field goals. He's missed plenty of field goals between the Browns organization and where he was this past week. So it sucks when you see, former Cleveland Brown, da 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 da. Like, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But yeah, I have no real answer for you, my guy. On to the next question. From my man Randy, back at it again. Do you think the front office will fall to the pressure of drafting a quarterback early? A lot of people will argue that's what we need to do, but depending on what's done in the offseason, we might need to address the QB position on the first day of the draft. Do I think they will fall to the pressure of drafting a quarterback early? I don't think they're going to let anything... I don't know if it's about falling to the pressure, right? I think it's more so about, will they hit on the right guy? I mean, it's obvious that they need a quarterback. Do they jump the gun and take a guy do they convince themselves that they love a guy? That's what I think the real question is. Because if you love a guy, you just love a guy. But if you're forcing yourself to love a guy because you are at the number 2 pick and because you need a quarterback and you're like, you're trying to squint your head and be like, yeah, I love this pick, then that's where I think they'll go wrong. Like, that's where they fall pressure to. Don't force yourself into loving this. If you don't love Cam Ward, if you don't love Shedeur Sanders, if you don't love Jackson Dart or whoever the quarterbacks may be, do not force it, because that's what we've done for the past 30 years with the 40 quarterbacks that have been in this organization, is forcing things that don't need to be happen. Like, you still need to address the offensive line. Bringing in a rookie quarterback is going to do you no good if your offensive line isn't sewed up, if you don't have a left tackle. Is DeJuan Jones going to get healthy enough to be that left tackle? They're going to go into the draft and get somebody else. You got guys coming out of contracts. Joe Patonio, Wyatt Teller are coming down on theirs. So it's like Ethan Posick is coming down on his. So you got to get your offensive line down. It would be nice to add another receiver into the mix. So don't force yourself to fall in love with one of these guys. And I think that's where I'm at with the whole pressure thing. Next question that we're going to get into is from my man D. Harrell. Is Joe Milton worth checking? You know what? I wasn't familiar with his game, right? Like, I'm not a college guy. I'm not going to sit here and act like I do all these studies with all these players and all this stuff. But when I seen Joe Milton, there was a stat that he threw the second hardest ball on a touchdown pass in the history of the NFL. I think if you could find a way to get Joe Milton for very, very cheap, then yeah, hell yeah. Of course you could take a flyer on that. And I think the Browns are going to be taking flyers on multiple quarterbacks this year with high ceilings or potential to be that bridge. Like, I don't want people to think that this is the only year that they have to find a quarterback for the future, because 2026 is going to be another year. You guys have to remember that there is this gap right now between 2025 season and Brook Park. Is a lot of bridge work. It's a lot of foundation building. It's a lot of who's going to be here when we grow into Brook Park. And I think everyone is so hell-bent on, oh, we got to get it right this year or it's over. It's like, that's not the case. So if they want to go ahead and take a flyer on Joe Milton, I mean, damn, you just brought in the Reese guy, the tight ends coach, who's known for RPO, who's known for running that high-paced offense. It seems as if Joe Milton would fit that script, that mold. Just like with people talking about the whole the Milroe thing. Thoughts on Browns taking Milroe in the second round? Hell no. No, not at the second round. Maybe third or fourth round, maybe, sure. But like, when you talk about the fit, right? Milton, Milroe, like that would be tailoring to this new offensive coordinator that we promoted from a 3-14 offense. Again, we can get into that, and like that's kind of puzzling to me how we're promoting people after a terrible season, but that's neither here nor there right now. So I would not be against the flyer on Joe Milton. The question would pose, what exactly are you giving up? Are you giving up a fifth rounder? Are you giving up a fourth rounder, a sixth rounder? Like if you're talking about getting anything higher than that or lower than that, I'm cool. But I wouldn't be against it. Same with Milroe. Would I be mad if they took a flyer on him in the later rounds in the draft? Absolutely not. But if you're talking about him being our first or second round, hell, even early third round, that's where I have to pump the brakes on it and be like, yeah, nah, I'm cool on that, because we've got other problems that we definitely need to take care of. Next question coming through from D-Lax. What about picking McMillan at 2? He looks like a beast. Now, like I said, we definitely need receiver, but taking a receiver at 2, I don't know about that. And and it's nothing against the talent. I just think that I don't know, man. I just don't know. Like, the frame is there, 6'5", 212. Like, you want to talk about giving yourself a massive target? Hell yeah, sign me up. But taking him at the second pick, that seems like a move where you trade down to like 10, 8, or whatever the case may be, then take a guy there like that. Like, I'd be perfectly fine with that, but I can only imagine what would come with taking a receiver at number 2 and you don't address the quarterback position. Well, who the hell is going to throw him the ball is going to be the number one conversation. And I think people are forgetting that they're going to go out in free agency and get them somebody, multiple people at that. So I'm not against McMillan, but at number 2, it's a little bit too high for me. Next question comes from a man who's always in my comment section showing some love, Buckeye Greg. Even though there's rumors that the Titans like Ward, don't you think the Titans would want to get involved in that deal? They will say they will take Sanders first. I do kind of think that we are overlooking the Titans sitting at the number 1 overall pick. Obviously, we've been throwing around a lot of hypotheticals this past week. For not forgetting that the Titans are number 1, but kind of just overlooking it, right? Kind of glossing over it because who knows what the Titans are going to do? Maybe they do want to enter the sweepstakes and try to make something happen there. If they want to pull a fast one and draft Shedeur to try to get the haul, if they know Deion's going to go to Vegas or whatever the case may be. So they very well could be a sleeper in this because it does kind of seem like no one is paying attention to Tennessee when they're sitting there with the number 1 overall pick. But they also need a quarterback. They also have holes and problems that they need to fill. So it seems as if Cam Ward is in the, I would say I don't want to say clear-cut spot to be the number 1 pick, but it almost feels as if Cam Ward is going to end up in Tennessee just because there's no smoke coming around. Like, it is weird that we're not hearing Tennessee being thrown around in these hypotheticals like we hear the Browns being thrown around in it. And maybe that's just because we're in the Cleveland market and the Cleveland media and we're not seeing it. But I feel like we would have a lot more to go off of, seeing as though the Browns are in every hypothetical situation that I can see on my social media feeds and on TV and stuff like that. So definitely something to look out for, no doubt. And the last question that we have from my man Lawrence. I want to know if the guy who owns the company doesn't have a philosophy on the direction his company should be going, putting football people in position that takes us in that direction. Why do you believe Browns will succeed? Denver went and got a football guy, Coach Payton. The Commanders got new ownership. Then the Magic Johnson group took over. Now they're headed in the right direction. The Patriots made a move with Mike Vrabel. It starts with the owner, Jerry Jones. He can't get out of his own way. Neither can Haslam. When you talk about owners, right, the one thing that you really want your owner to do is spend the bread. And Jimmy Haslam spends the bread. Now, in terms of getting out of his own way, I think there has been growth, right, since he bought this team over a decade ago. And I think he's trying to display that growth by keeping Andrew Berry and keeping Kevin Stefanski into the regime after everything that they've been through, after another dreaded 3-14 season. Like, we're comparing ourselves to teams that have had success. Now, the Commanders one is different. Right, they haven't had much success, but you want to talk about like Sean Payton and Denver and stuff like that. I need people to understand that Kevin Stefanski is not Sean Payton, right? No one believed that the Bo Nix thing was going to work, but Sean Payton did. That's what I need to see out of Kevin Stefanski. It's more so now not about Jimmy Haslam, although this past season was about it. In the year, like a lot of blame goes to Haslam. I'm not sitting here trying to give Haslam a pass. But we got an owner that's willing to spend the money. I need my coach, right? I need my coach to coach up his players. I need my coach to love a guy and go all in with him and do whatever it takes to make it work. Because that's what Sean Payton did with Bo Nix, and that's why they turned their season around. They put their defense was already good, and you put in that quarterback, and boom, now you got some success. So does Kevin Stefanski love one of these guys? It goes back to the other question. Does he love one of these quarterbacks? And if he does, then at that point, that's when myself will have to buy into it. Because if Kevin Stefanski is this coach that everyone says he is, he'll love a guy, he'll coach him up, and he'll thrive in the system, right? Now, I don't want this draft. Like, I don't want to draft a guy at number 2, and then they be like, yeah, it's going to be a word. Like, it doesn't fit our system well. Like, I don't even know where I'm going with that, but I don't want this whole thing to be like, it wasn't his guy. Because somehow it'll come out later down the road and be like, yeah, well, there were a couple, we really like Cam Ward, but Tennessee was there, and Sanders was second on our board, da-da-da-da-da. Like, no. Pick the guy that you love. If you love Jackson, look, if you love Dart, take him at 2. Don't wait. Don't trade down. Don't do all of this stuff. If you love Dart, take him. If you love Milroe, take him. John Dorsey loved Baker Mayfield. He took him. John Dorsey loved Denzel Ward. He took him. John Dorsey loved Nick Chubb. He took him. That's what this organization needs to do. Love who you love. Don't care about the outside noise and all of that other stuff, because it's only going to put you right where you are right now in a bad situation. They need to stop listening to the fans like myself. They need to stop listening to everything and listen to themselves and fall in love with the right guy that they love, because that's how this thing will work. If they love Tommy Rees, good, fine. We don't have to love him, but you loved him. Don't have a guy being forced in because you want to. Like, it feels like Ken Dorsey at this point was forced into the regime because they needed a new face and they needed a new offensive thing. This point where they're at right now, seeing as though they're keeping everything together, the guys that are in the building right now have to be in love with their picks, because if they don't, I tell you what, your ass is gone next year, right? Like, the leash is so short. This is the final year for Kevin Stefanski. I truly believe that. If Kevin Stefanski doesn't make the playoffs next year, I think this is the end of the era. Will Andrew Berry be in that as well? Again, I go back to the whole money operation and how he can handle the money. I don't know if Andrew Berry will be canned, but I can tell you for certain, this will be the last time we see this coaching regime if they do not get it figured out this year, because you can't go another year and feed this to the fan base thinking that we're going to be okay with it, because it's already divided as it is. So this has to be the final straw, in my opinion, for the Kevin Stefanski era. He has to get it right. So everything from this point on, Kevin Stefanski better love. He better love the running back he picks. He better love the quarterbacks that come in the free agency. He better love the coaches that he hired. He better love the draft pick at number 2 or the trade down. He better love every single thing, because I can't imagine that we can't be sitting here at 1-6 next season and Kevin Stefanski thinks his job's going to be safe. He'll be gone. He won't even make it through the end of the year. So this is a big year for Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry and Tommy Rees and all of these guys in the coaching positions. And that's what I'm going to be looking for. I need to know that we are in love with our guys. And those are all the questions for today. I appreciate everybody that sent in the questions. Again, make sure you guys drop your questions in the comment section here and on wherever your social platform is, and we will get to them in the next episode. So I appreciate you guys again. Make sure you guys are like to subscribe up, and I'll catch you boys later. Peace.